What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 15 Reunion Part 2, you guys. So before we go ahead and jump into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and aren't subscribed yet, then do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and also by turning on your post notifications, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, shall we? All right, you guys, so part 2 of the reunion, thank God it's over. I gotta say, I did not like part 2 of the reunion. I was disgusted by some of the things that I saw, right? It wasn't good for me. But I definitely want you guys to tell me what you guys think in the comment section. But yeah, part 2 of the reunion, it was just a no for me. I was disappointed in quite a few of the ladies. Some of the ladies, I was like, I liked what they did, but some, excuse me. What I will say though is leaving this reunion, what I will say though, leaving this reunion, I have a little bit of a side eye for Candy, you guys. And you guys know that I like Candy, but I'm still thinking about what she said to Drew in last week's episode, part 1, when she told Drew that she felt like Drew gaslights Ralph, right? And then when Ralph came out on his stage in this episode, I was like, so you don't see the true manipulator and the true gaslighter is Ralph? But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's pick up where we left off. So we picked up with crooked mouth Courtney, lean mouth Courtney, lopsided mouth Courtney. I know that she did an interview and she explained why her face is like that. I couldn't be bothered to give a damn because you are a nasty, despicable, disgusting person. So we pick up with her and Drew going back and forth. And, Drew's telling her she's an unverifiable cousin. And I do believe Drew in that aspect, that woman is unverifiable, because I don't think that she and Ralph are any more cousins than I am to Ralph. And Ralph is not my cousin. Like, I don't believe anything that she says. I think that there's something there between them. I do believe Drew when she says that, Ralph has been coaching Courtney. I absolutely do believe it. Since Ralph is not going to be on the stage primarily as much as Courtney, I feel like he probably got together with Courtney and he said, say this about Drew, say that about Drew, say this, say that. And it's just disgusting to me. Like, you can feel however you want to feel about Drew, but that's your wife. Y'all might be going through a divorce, but y'all share children together. And again, this woman right here, I just don't believe that she's your cousin. So then she says, Lean Mouth says that, Drew is projecting what she's doing onto Ralph. I was like, girl, the man went to Tampa and she doesn't know what he did in Tampa and who he was with in Tampa. Allegedly, I think it's Courtney, right? We found out that Courtney lived in Tampa, so I believe he was messing with Courtney. And this is all alleged, you guys. Because I just don't buy that they're cousins. Nothing tells me that, nothing in my mind says they're cousins. Y'all just met each other, but neither here nor there, right? So they talked about Courtney bringing up Drew's son, right? And so Drew was like, you don't ever bring my son up. Like, don't ever fucking mention my son. And so she was like, girl, I knew that the cameras were rolling. But in that scene, you was pretending, you acted like you didn't know that the cameras were still rolling. So you want to call Drew a liar, but ma'am, you are a liar as well. Just as big a liar as Drew and Ralph are. Like, I was just ready for her to get off of the couch. I was like, good God. And this is what really kind of blew me, right? I saw that Kenya told her kids are off limits. I saw that Sonia told her, said kids are off limits, right? Candy didn't say nothing about kids being off limits. Sheree had nothing to say, and Marlo had nothing to say. And they might want to chalk it up to editing and say, oh, well, we said something, I don't give a fuck. What was on camera, we did not see it. We saw Kenya chime in and we saw Sonia chime in. That is it. That is all. And that was part 1 of how I felt. I was like, this is just not a good look, right? So Sheree at one point brings out these messages that someone left at her door, right, for her, and it's supposedly messages between Drew and Ty, and they showed them to Andy. So Andy was like, "Oh, this is pretty incriminating," but Kenya looked at him and said, "This isn't incriminating at all." I know Candy addressed it on her Speak On. You guys know I don't watch Speak On it, but if she said anything that was, not shown on the show, feel free to let me know in the comment section. But yeah, you guys, this just was not it. It really wasn't. So Drew feels like this is Ralph's doing, right? She feel like this is Ralph. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it is Ralph. It got his egghead written all over it. Oh. So we're finally done with Monyetta and Lean Mouth. So let's pause here and move forward, you guys. So let's talk real quick, you guys, about Marlo and Sheree. Sheree, you are a hater. If I ain't never saw one, I might have said I'm a little disappointed in Candy, which I am, but Sheree, for you to sit there and say that the reason why you brought the She News out is because Candy talks about you every week, it's like, ma'am, you are not that interesting of a person. I think the biggest thing that Candy would be talking about was the situation with your fake boyfriend, Martell. Like, girl, you are not that interesting to anybody. So then we see fake ass cousin Courtney. She went to Ralph's dressing room and, gave him a hug. And I was just like, oh, this is a little too intimate. This is a little intimate for cousins. Very intimate. So, Allison saw them and went up to the room and said something to Courtney. I was just like, oh, Allison. Just grab that hoe and work that hoe's neck. That's all I wanted Allison to do, was just to give Courtney the business, because God, like, I know a lot of people say that they don't want Courtney back for next season, but honestly, you guys, I do have a feeling that Courtney will be back for next season. I really do. I know we might not like Courtney, but I do believe that Courtney's gonna come back. Do I have a problem with Courtney coming back for next season? Not really. As long as we don't see her that much, I'm cool with it. Bring Cynthia back as a friend of and reduce her friend of role just significantly. Because Courtney is just, she's thirsty. That's really what it is, right? So let me talk about this also with Marlo. So they were talking. They briefly talked about the Candy's sex toys, right? And so they played the package of the all that kind of stuff that's happened on this show this season, right? And Candy was talking about how she was talking about Twas, and Marlo was like, well, how long ago was that? About as long as it was when you got your first mugshot. Whenever you got your first mugshot, that's probably when Twas came out. Like, Marlo, you do come off as a fucking hater. You really do come off as a hater, and you get on my nerves. So when we came back from the break, we talked about Sonia losing her baby. So she knew that her, the pregnancy wasn't viable, right? So she went to New York for a meet, and that's when she had the miscarriage, right? She said she lost a lot of blood in the taxi and she almost fainted. And so she had to have a blood transfusion. And I was like, wow, prayers. I'm so glad that she survived that, because that is, scary as hell to think about, right? So she then said she later got, she got pregnant a month later. And then she said she texted all the women in the group, but everybody, Drew did something for her. Sheree had done something for her. Candy had did something for her. Everybody had did something for her. But she said that she didn't really hear from Kenya, and she was a little disappointed by that. And Kenya said, well, I did call you. And she's like, Sonia was like, the reason why I was so disappointed is because, you and I had planned to be pregnant together, twins, pregnant at the same time, right? And she was like, yeah. And she's like, I can see how you feel that way. And so she apologized to her. But she said, I did absolutely try to reach out to you. So that's that. So then, Andy asked Kenya about her, what is she going to be doing as far as her journey to, having more children. So she said that she's decided to adopt children. And I was like, that's admirable. I love that. Go for it, Kenya. I'm all here for it. Adoption, 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 right? So then we move on to somebody said that, Sonia was being fake talking about Kenya's relationship or something like that. And I want you guys to tell me how you feel about this because I didn't take it as fake. I actually agree with Sonia in that scene with Marlo when when they were talking about Roy versus Martell, right? Kenya said something to Sheree about Martell being in her DMs, but then when it was Roy in Marlo's DMs, it was slightly a double standard, right? It wasn't that big of a deal. And then the thing that blew me with Kenya that I did not like when she did it was when it came down to Kenya talking about Roy and him going on a date with Marlo. It was always trying to, paint Marlo off as a hoe or a prostitute or anything of that nature. And I'm like, Kenya, if that kind of backfires on you, because if you're saying that about her, if he attracts that type of woman, then what does that say about you? Now, I'm not saying that that's what Kenya is, but I just didn't like those comments. I just didn't like that comment. The things that she was saying about Marlo, I didn't agree with it then. I don't agree with it now. The man was in her DMs. He found Marlo attractive. He took Marlo out on a date. Maybe they figured out through that first date that there was nothing there for them romantically or anything else, and they just amicably ended it right then and there. So I never understood why it felt like such a big deal for Sheree. I mean, not for Sheree, but for Kenya. So then we bring up the situation of Marlo and Sheree, not raising their paddles at Sonia's event. Ultimately, it sounded like the reason why they didn't want to raise their paddles is because of Kenya herself. And I'm like, but if this is a charity for your friend, raise your fucking paddle for your friend and support your friend. Like, it didn't make no sense to me. So let's pause here, you guys, and move forward. All right, you guys. So next up, Sheree had a question for Candy. So the question for Candy was like, since you don't really want to share your life and you think you're above all the other women on the show, and you don't want to show the negative things about, the bad things that go on in your life, why don't you take a break or step down? And I was like, Sheree, really? So, you guys, I think that is class. I think that is BS. The fact that, people want to say that, Candy doesn't show her life and all that stuff. She does. You guys think about it. She showed AJ and how much Mama Joyce couldn't stand him. Todd and Mama Joyce. We saw that storyline for years on the show. Mama Joyce trying to find Karma, right? We saw Block. We saw so much stuff with Candy. We saw a lot of things with Candy. We saw a lot of things that might not be the most positive things for Candy. Even like she said on Candy and the Game, we saw her restaurant. We saw the negative parts of that restaurant. We saw that Todd didn't get that generator and those people were sitting in the dark. We saw Chandrika. We saw so much stuff. We saw the cousin that wanted to fight Aunt Nora. We saw that stuff. So for y'all to say that she doesn't show her real life, it's BS. And then Sheree, you're the last person that's like Candy said, girl, you should think or two about taking a break. And Sheree was like, well, they always come back to me when you guys are lackluster. Really? Because the last 2 seasons have been very, very lackluster. So what do you have to say about that? And let's delve deep into that one real quick. The only reason why you came back last season as a peach holder is because Cynthia was gone and Portia was gone. And that freed up a lot of money for you and Marlo to get your peaches. Y'all got... I didn't get that. I wasn't talking to you. Like, you and Marlo got pity peaches, right? And Sheree is correct. I will say one thing about Sheree. She is correct, right? Sheree has been asked to come back. Sheree was asked to come back in season 11, and she was asked to come back in season 12. She's not lying about that. She is absolutely telling the truth about that. that she was asked to come back. She's been asked to come back, but tell them in what capacity you were asked to come back in. For season 11 and 12, you were asked to come back in a friend of position. Let's be real. You were asked to come back season. Actually, she was asked to come back season. Actually, scratch that. I don't know if she was asked to come back season 11. I know for a fact she was asked to come back season 12, and I know season 13. Those were, I think, whatever, or it could be 11, 12, and 13. It could be, but I know for season 12 she was asked back as a friend of around the time that Shamari was asked back. Sheree has been asked back quite a few times. So she's telling the truth in that aspect. She is telling the truth. But she's lying when she says that they've asked her back because it's been lackluster. Sheree, you have never given anything of interest on this show. Even when you was up Kim's wig. Like, you've never given anything. So let's just keep it a buck. You've always faked the funk, and you've always tried to live above your means. And people can see through your bullshit. So Sheree, for Sheree to sit there and say lackluster, baby, lackluster. Season 12, as annoying as it had got to me, season 12 was a damn good season. And their reunion was solid. Like, how does a COVID reunion top an in-person reunion? This reunion right here, it pales in comparison to the season 12 reunion. And again, those women were virtual, and were reading each other down. I will never forget Portia versus Eva. Y'all all older than me. Okay, Eva, we all got house. Yeah, y'all all older than me. Girl, you are not a spring chicken, boo-boo. And you are an age 10. Girl, them titties is age 10s. They social distancing. Don't come for me, bitch. Like, y'all remember when Portia told her titties was social distancing? Oh my God, when she told that girl her titties was social distancing. You like them? You like when she, oh my God, when she told that girl her titties were social distancing. That was classic Real Housewives of Atlanta. Whew. Like, the best reunions, I told you guys last week what I thought the best reunions were. Season 12's reunion was amazing because of the shade that they were throwing at each other, right? Season 10's reunion, when they ganged up on Kim Zolciak, was amazing. Season 11 reunion, I absolutely hated that reunion because that was a reunion that Nene didn't want to answer any questions, and it was just like, girl, what are you doing here? Season 9's reunion, oh God, season 9's reunion. That was a dark reunion. But yeah, like, so Sheree, for you to say lackluster, okay, girlfriend, if that's how you feel, whatever. So then we talked about the situation with Marlo and Candy and her nephew. It made no sense during the season, and it still makes no sense post-season. So we're not gonna talk about it because I don't really care about it. I do feel bad for Marlo's, rest in peace to her nephew, right? But it still just makes no sense. I still don't understand what she was asking for, and we're not gonna talk about it. But let's pause here and wrap up, you guys. All right, you guys. So we get Ralph out on the stage, and let me say this right here, right now. When Ralph came out there on that stage, I was looking at that big egghead fool, and I tweeted this last night. I said, this fool is putting on a good act. He's trying to make himself look good by putting Drew down. And, I've said it plenty of times on my channel, and I'm going to continue to say it, right? Drew is not innocent. Drew does lie, right? But in this particular moment, and this is where I had the issue with Candy from last week, thinking about last week's episode, the fact that you sat there, Candy, and told Drew that you think she gaslights Ralph. I don't think that Drew gaslights that man at all. I think Drew might lie to that man, but gaslighting, absolutely not. He is gaslighting the fuck out of her. There were so many instances in this reunion, part 2, where I was like, he was lying, but then he got caught in the lie. The first one was, but first of all, before we even get into that, Drew. Baby girl, what is it with you and these damn props? Like, why does Drew keep coming with these props? The props were cringy. I was like, oh, Drew, we gotta stop with the props, babe. We really gotta stop with the props. because she had a peach. So Andy asked them where are they in the process of their divorce. So they're in mediation, right? So at one point, Andy asked Ralph, has he been faithful to Drew? He couldn't really answer that question, and I'm like, the answer. He said yes, but I didn't believe him. I promise you guys, I didn't believe shit that Ralph was saying, right? But mind you, so he says he's being faithful, but then he's on the flip side trying to paint it off as if Drew has been unfaithful to him and talking about this relationship with Ty. Do I believe that Drew had a relationship with Ty? Honestly, do I believe that Drew had a relationship with Ty? I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think so. I actually kind of believe Drew when she said that this is something that he got together with Mimi and cooked up. I do believe that because here's the interesting thing. Y'all know Mimi and Ty are always off and on. And the last time that Mimi and Ty were technically still on, Ty was in the blogs with holding hands with another woman. And we thought that Mimi and Ty had broke up, but Mimi had came out and said that they had not broke up. So I just don't know, but I really don't know what to believe. I don't know. I want you guys to tell me what you think because it's very interesting. I know Andy asked Drew and Ralph have they told the kids that they're separated. They haven't. Drew says that actually, so at one point Drew showed Andy her phone, right? And so when she showed him the phone, she showed him the phone. What happened is he looked at it, and so it was a woman who had a big ass that had texted Ralph about bringing her that dick. And so Ralph says he didn't respond to it, that it was a catfish. I was like, oh, okay. Is that what it is? Like, I don't know what to believe. I don't believe Ralph. Like I said, ultimately, I don't believe Ralph. I don't believe anything that is coming out of his mouth because he then lied about Vegas, right? So you guys remember, Drew has said that Ralph went to Vegas to audition for Magic Mike. And Ralph is saying, oh, no, I didn't go out there to audition for Magic Mike. That was something that Drew had made up. And Drew was like, I made that up. And so he said, yeah. And so she said, I did not make that up, Ralph. So she said, Candy, you called and verified it, right? And Candy said, yes. So we saw an unaired footage of Candy calling to the person who's over it. And lo and behold, Ralph was supposed to audition for it. Now, Ralph did tell the truth in one part of this. And he said he was always supposed to go to Vegas because he had a work event to go to. And it was on his Instagram. And they pulled it up. And he had a lanyard on with his name on it, with IT on it. So I guess he was telling the truth. So then Drew brought up the stuff that was sent to Sheree. And I'm still questioning, why was it sent to Sheree? I guess it must have been sent to Sheree because they know that Sheree and Drew have a checkered past with each other. So they felt like sending it to her, she would bring it to the reunion and air it. But you know what? It's very interesting if you guys think about it. I do believe Drew. I do believe Drew in the fact that it's either Ralph or it was Courtney. One of those two, right? Because why is it so coincidental that it was sent to Sheree when on the show with this season we saw her be cool with Candy, we saw her be cool with Sonia, and we saw her be cool with Kenya. But it wasn't it wasn't sent to her couch. It was sent to Sheree of all people. Very random. Very random. That's why I think it's definitely somebody on that side. It's got to be either Ralph or that crooked and lean mouth Courtney. So Ralph pretended like he didn't know what it was. I'm like, I think you know what it is. Because here's the thing. And let's just delve a little bit deeper into it, you guys. We got to think about it. How would these people, whoever, so these are personal text messages or DMs between Drew and Ty, right? How would anybody else have access to it to send it to Sheree if they don't know Drew's password? Well, we found out that her assistant was the one that went around saying that she had a thing with Ty. So, I mean, Drew, you gotta vet the people in your circle, girl. So then here's more of him playing in Drew's face. So he told Drew that he was getting blowjobs around the world. And he was like, Drew, that sounds so ridiculous. She said, but you said that to me, Ralph. And then he admitted he said it to her. I was like, oh my God. Like, are you serious? This is the gaslighting. Like, this dude is literally just playing in Drew's face, and it was really pissing me off. And at one point, Drew was talking about the fact that you're sitting here coaching your your cousin Courtney against your wife. And he said, Drew, you're acting right now. She said, fuck this shit. And she got up. And I actually did not blame Drew in that moment because I was like, Drew, I mean, not Drew, but Ralph, what you not going to do is sit here and play in people's faces. Like, because that's exactly what you're doing. And you can't, I get it. People have been saying, well, Kenya's called her a bitch and Marlo's called her a bitch. The difference is this is supposed to be family. You are supposed to have your wife's back you're supposed to have your wife's back. And even when it comes to the ladies, he could say, you know, and like Kenya said, you can say something to your wife and make her feel better about the situation. You might not necessarily have to check these people, but you can make your wife feel comfortable. But with Courtney, this is supposed to be his cousin, so you can definitely say something to your cousin and be like, hey, cuz, this is my wife, you know, I don't appreciate, you know, let's not call her a bitch, let's not disrespect Drew, this is the mother of my kids. But no, he couldn't do that because I think he's sleeping with her. Speaking of Kenya, you guys, what really pissed me off with Ralph was when it came down to Kenya, because when Drew got up and left, she left the couches, right? Marlo, girl, shut up, telling her she left her purse. I don't think she gave a fuck about that purse in that moment. Oh God, Marlo was getting on my nerves. Marlo got on my nerves. So, what happened? So Sonia, I will say I have a lot more respect for Sonia because Sonia went back there to check on Drew, and I respected that. I liked that, and I was here for it, right? So then Kenya is still on the stage with Drew, not with Drew, but with the other ladies, and she's telling him that, you know, she sees resemblances between him and Mark. This fool had the audacity to say, how long were you married? She said, for 2 years. He said, okay. So she said, are you going to discredit me because I was only married for 2 years? He's like, no, I'm not doing that. I was like, yes, you are. You're clearly discrediting her because she was only married for 2 years. Drew, I know Andy asked you if there's any chance of reconciliation. Girls say, hell to the fucking no. I do not want to reconcile with this man. This man, and no. Let him go be with crooked, lean mouth Courtney and leave you and your kids alone, right? So yeah, you guys, that was pretty much it. So Drew premiered her new single. I think it's called Throw It All Away. And baby, when she sang that song to Ralph, I was like, oh, sir, so you're just going to sit. What really threw me was the fact that he was still sitting on that couch. I was like, so he's not going to get up and leave or nothing like that? I guess he said, nope, I'm not going to leave. I was like, oh, okay. So you're going to sit here and listen to this song. And even Andy had to say, it's fucking cringeworthy, basically, right? And I was like, exactly, it really was. But yeah, you guys, that is a wrap on season 15 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Andrew Cohen, Andrew Joseph Cohen, which is what your full name is, Andrew Joseph Cohen. You know you a god dang on lie talking about the fact that this is the close to an epic season. Do you mean an epic fail of a season? Because this season gave nothing epic. Not a damn thing about this season was anywhere near epic. But yeah, you guys, that is The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Thank God it's over. We got a few months before we got September, October, November. So we got some time before Married to Medicine returns, and I'm so not looking forward to. I love Married to Medicine, but I'm not looking forward to Married to Medicine because of Phaedra. I just don't see it for Phaedra. And then The Real Housewives of Potomac returns on November 5th, so we got that. But yeah, you guys, that was The Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion part 2. Gave nothing for me. I'm surprised. Like I said last week. This is the second season where we've had a short season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, Even the pandemic season wasn't this short, as short as this season was. But yeah, you guys, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, you guys, turn on your post notifications, share the video, you guys, and until the next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, you guys, wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys later. And also, you guys, today is 9/11, so we want to remember those who lost their lives on that tragic day on September 11th of 2001. Wow. My friend and I were just talking about this earlier today. I remember exactly where I was when that happened. It's just, it's, it's so weird to think about it now that it's been, what, 22 years at this point? It's so crazy. But yeah, you guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.